Good day and welcome back to A Bit of Curiosity. I'm joined by a really good friend, Nick Stagge. Nick is a husband, father of four, CEO of an excellent creative agency called Grounded, as well as got a couple other things in the fire as well. Lover of all things grunge. His view of leadership and in every role he has played has been about people first. And Nick is one of the greatest humans that I know. So welcome, Nick.
Thank you. What an intro. My goodness. Did
Dude,
ChatGPT write that?
no, I wrote that myself, dude. No AI assistance
Holy
on that one
moly,
at all.
Jeremy. You know how to make a girl blush.
I thought about just sending Chat GPT your LinkedIn profile and write something, but I
It'd come
figured
back
I could.
with
I
one
figured
line.
I could write this.
It would come back with one line. Nobody loves Nick more than Marla.
Okay, my
Yes.
mom listens to this podcast, by the way, so
She
now
does.
she's
Hey,
gonna
Marla.
she's
It's been
gonna
a
love
running
that.
joke for years that every time we get on a call together, I change my name. Like right now, my name on this recording is Marla Loves Nick. And some would be short, some would be really long. They were always respectful, but they always mentioned how much Marla loves me.
Now that we've lost everybody that was listening, let's bring this back.
Mission accomplished, dude.
So thank you, Nick. Great accomplishment there from right off the get go. So I really like. We could take this conversation so many places, and I think we probably will. I You hosted a podcast for a while. Are you still running your podcast? Is that still a thing, or did that kind
I'm
of fizzle?
not. When we moved offices, we kind of took it down, and Dalton is in Utah County, and getting him out here was a challenge, and organizing schedules. It was so much fun. I think we did, I don't know, 30 episodes or something. It was so much fun, but we've taken a pause. Maybe one day we'll bring it back. But
Yeah,
I think you were guest number one.
I think I was your guinea pig, and we had a lot of fun. We just sat on the couch and just riffed for whoever knows how long.
Yeah.
So not sure how many people ever listened to that episode, but it existed. Is it
We probably
still
have a
out
few
there?
more
Is
episodes.
the
Who else are we
lunchtime podcast still alive? As far as
What's
like
that?
on is lunchtime podcast still out there? Like,
Yeah, we never
can you
took it
still find it
down.
on Apple?
We just haven't been adding to it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's out there. If you want to listen to us riff about random stuff, there's
And
another
Jeremy
one.
traveling to all 50 states.
Yep.
We talked about that.
We did talk about that. So, and I do love travel, and hopefully we can spend some of this podcast talking travel.
Well,
But
I think with everything that you're up to, I, I'm obsessed with it. I mean, like, I haven't been everywhere, but it's on my list. And I never want to go back to the same place twice, ever.
okay. So, is there nowhere that you would? We'll just jump right into travel now that we've brought it up, right?
Do it.
Is there really nowhere that you've been to that you're like, I want to break that rule and I want to go back there?
There's incredible places around the globe. Just like so many beautiful, wonderful places. And as many as I've seen, there's so many more. Countless others I haven't. So why go back? Like, the only exception to that is if I traveled for work somewhere incredible and I didn't get to take my wife or my kids, like maybe we go back, but that's a little different. Otherwise, no. And my wife grew up, they traveled a lot and they made it a part of their family dynamic. But they would go back to the same place, and on Thursday night they'd eat at the same restaurant, and then Friday they'd do the same thing, and they loved that. And that worked for them, and they liked that tradition. And for me, I'm always the guy that's like, we're gonna turn around and go back. I'm just gonna walk up to the end of the block and look around the corner, just because I'm not coming back. Like, I just want to see one more thing. It's like an adventure kind of mindset mixed with maybe like travel or exposure FOMO. Like, I just don't want to miss something because I go back to the same place.
Yeah. No, I totally get that, right? And there's so many different ways to travel.
Yes.
And like you bring up two really fairly contrasting differences, right? Like my wife and I have this conversation often. It's like, okay, would we buy a cabin, right? Like if we were like, and I'm like, why would we buy a cabin? Then we have to go there, right? Like we have to go there every year or multiple times in the year, right? Like I understand the value of having it as like an investment property or whatever, but I feel obligated to go spend time at the cabin versus, well, I can go travel here or here or here in all these different places instead of having to feel like I have to go to the cabin or to the condo or what, right? Like, so,
I
I,
feel that so much.
yeah,
The obligation, and somehow when you feel obligated, I think it becomes less fun, and I think you can start to close yourself off to experiencing things. I mean, our time on earth, this earth, is just so limited. Why not try to experience as many unique things as possible before we end up wherever we end up after this?
yeah, for sure.
It's so deep in me, Jeremy, that when I drive to and from work every day, I don't drive the same way back to back. I get off on a different freeway exit. I turn left instead of go straight. Like whatever it is, I do something different to get to and from work every day because I don't.
So when you brush your teeth, do you switch hands every time you brush your teeth?
I I wouldn't say it's that nuanced, but I don't love routine at all. I'm bored with routine. I feel like you just have you ever gotten in the car and you drive and 30 minutes, an hour goes by, 10 minutes go by, and you're like, how did I get where I'm at? Like, I'm where I'm supposed to be, but I don't remember getting off the freeway or passing a car. Like, you're just kind of like you're in your own head. You're thinking
No.
you're doing something else, and you've done it so many times that it's just routine. That is one of my biggest fears in life. That my part of my day or a part of my life is just routine, and I can check out of that moment, and I can live that moment, but not experience that moment. And to me, what a sad way to try to live and experience life.
Yeah, I totally get that. And I agree with that, right? I've heard like I think we've all had that experience where we end up in the driveway or in the garage and we're like, wait, how did I get here?
Or you're reading a book and you're like, oh, I'm 10 pages in and I don't know, like I have to go back and reread those
But
10
that
pages.
happens to me all the time.
But dude, your brain is processing and knows when to flip the page, but your brain isn't actually
Yeah.
experiencing.
I had this I had this really cool meditative experience the other day though, where I was in this semi-lucid state and no, I was not on anything. So we can take that.
I'm talking about you, not someone else, Jeremy. Don't worry, Marla. Jeremy's clean.
But I was yeah, I was in this moment, I was in this experience where I was paying attention to some information, but I was also not. Like I was almost half asleep, and I came out of it, and it just was so. It was different than it had ever felt before, in the sense that like I knew what was going on, but I was also out of it enough that I was like I wasn't fully present with myself. And when I came out of it, it was just this really cool, unique, powerful experience for me. And so, in kind of contradiction to like, okay, let's be present with every moment, right? Like, it was this really cool, unique experience of like, okay, I'm not fully present, but I'm like in this kind of just in between semi lucid state, right? Like, kind of dreamy state. And it
Was
was
that
actually kind of
intentional?
rad coming out of it.
Was that something that you were attempting to do, or did
No, I
it
was
just
not
naturally
attempting to do
happen?
it. Most of it was because I was tired, but I was trying to pay attention and like so it was kind of this but then I just let myself sit in this in between semi-lucid state instead of trying to fight to pay attention and but not fully allowing myself to like doze off and be completely asleep, right?
So does it when your terms like kind of came out of it or like snapped back? Did it feel like you hit reset on a computer? I mean, what that? How do you explain that moment when you? It sounds like you almost experienced the moment after it happened.
Yeah, I was going through it was a religious ceremony, and so I was going through this, and so I knew at points I had to do certain actions, do certain things, and so I kind of knew, okay, this is where I'm going. And then when I got to this point where it was kind of towards conclusion, was like, okay, now like I'm up and I'm out, right? Like and so I don't know that like I wouldn't call it like a snap out of it per se, right? But I knew like, okay, this is when I need to do the next thing, right? And it was just, but like the whole experience was super unique
Bet.
because normally like I'm fighting to like, okay, I gotta be attentive, I've got to be paying attention, right? And like I
Hmm.
can't doze off, right? Like, but I just found this point of like, okay, like it's okay to be in it, sitting in this semi-lucid kind of almost dreamlike state, and it was, yeah, it was just kind of in contradiction to like I want to always be present, right? Like I think sometimes finding those moments where it's just complete stillness, that like maybe we don't have to be present within ourselves or be fully aware of the situation while we're sitting in this stillness, right? Like Ryan Holiday wrote a whole book about stillness is the key, right? Like playing off of stoicism and that mindset, but like yeah, it was super. I don't know. It was a really interesting experience for me because I've struggled. I've tried meditation a lot, and I've struggled to feel like I really kind of get into a fully meditative state. And I
Yeah.
think that's kind of what I experienced here. And it was, yeah, it was super unique. It was really cool.
My challenge trying to meditate is I end up falling asleep, and then I feel like I kind of miss the point and the benefit of it.
Yeah, and maybe you didn't, right? Like maybe that is like maybe it's just sitting in that stillness, right? Sitting in that state of like I don't need to be thinking about anything or doing anything, right? Because I think so often we get in this mode in our lives where it's like, okay, I've got to be doing something, right? I've got to be busy, and technology really accentuates that for us, right?
Yeah.
So, so I want to go back to travel since we already have kind of hit on that. What instilled your love or your desire to travel? Like, where did that come from?
Sorry, my I had a client walk in. He left a jacket here the other day, and he came to get it.
No
Uh,
worries.
so I don't know. As a family growing up, we were always doing stuff. We were always like out in the woods. But travel. I'd never been on a plane with my parents until I was in my 40s. We always went local and camped, or we'd take a drive and road trip to the coast or something. But I just remember breaking the the day-to-day routine and seeing new things and seeing how other people lived. I was fascinated with that. I was fascinated with the idea that my experience is wildly different from someone else's, and some of that is based on where you live, some of that is your family. There's so many variations to that, but I think just getting out, experiencing something that was different than my own, it started to give me a sense of whoever I am and whatever I become, it's okay. Like it showed me that I didn't have to be one certain way. I could just be me, and that was good. And then when I got older and I started traveling for work, I mean, I fell in love with like fresh guacamole in Puerto Rico or in Puerto Vallarta. It was just like the greatest guacamole I've ever had in my life. And then going and meeting families in India and spending time there and seeing how they live and the squalor that so many people in India live in, and then they're happy and fulfilled and kind. I think I fell in love with this idea that the world is a lot bigger than we think. There isn't one right way to do maybe anything. And the more that I can experience and soak in, maybe I don't know. I mean, that's even just you asking that question has my brain going in so many different directions about why I love travel, why I love to get out and experience new things. But I think it all boils down to one, our time on this earth is limited, and whoever or however we ended up here, whoever put us here or however we ended up here, we're only here for a limited time, but it's amazing. This world is amazing, and I feel like we should go soak it in. And I think the more that we do, the more we learn about ourselves. That's the
Yeah.
nutshell of the ramble.
No, absolutely right. Like, um, that's kind of shocking that you haven't been on a plane with your parents, and I think you've told me that before, but until you in your 40s, which really is only the last few years, right?
Yeah, 2 years ago or a year ago, I took my parents to Mexico, and
Yeah. Well, growing up, the only time like we took a flight once to Florida when I was 17, I think is when it was. 16 or 17, something like that, and that was the only time I had, well, frankly, that's the only time I've ever been on a plane with both my parents. And so, yeah, kind of fascinating to think about, right? Like, and we didn't like we were kind of the same way. We camped a lot. We did a lot of stuff around the state of Utah. We'd go up to
Yeah,
Yellowstone maybe once or twice. We went down to California, Southern California, but it was always a road trip with a pit stop in Vegas or
of
Prim,
course.
Nevada, right? Like whatever.
Got to go to the buffet.
And absolutely. And so like yeah, travel was not really a thing for us growing up, but then like I traveled for work a few times before I started Ultra, but then when I started Ultra, I was traveling all the time. And it was different travel, right? Like cuz like the times I traveled for work before Ultra, it was like okay, we're going to this conference and we sat in a hotel the whole time, right? Like it was, you
Yeah.
fly in, you go to the hotel, and you don't really see anything. I did get to go to a Braves game once. That was fun.
But
But
you're right. Traveling for work is not traveling.
no,
There can be
but then when I
elements.
started traveling for Ultra, I started tacking on a day, or like we would do things, right? Like we went to Amsterdam for a sales conference and we tacked on a day at the end. And me and Kevin, one our international sales manager, like we just went and bought the Amsterdam City Pass. We are like, okay, €100, done.
Done.
Like this gets us into how many museums and what, right? Like and we literally ran around the city. We went to the Rijks, we went to the Van Gogh, we went to the Hood Museum, we went to the another big one there, and like we did the city hop on hop off bus, and
Yeah.
like it was
Stroll through the Olympic
fantastic, right?
Park.
Like but we crammed so much in to 12, 15 hours, whatever it was, right? But and it was phenomenal. But one of the coolest experience was so obviously like I'd never been to New York City growing up, right? So as now whatever we were 30, right? 30-year-olds, Brian and I road trip it out to Boston and we stop in New York and we stayed a night with my sister who was living out there and then we're like, dude, we got to go see the city while we're here. So we park the car in one of the cool city like elevator parking lots
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and just enamored with this whole concept coming from Utah, right? Like, whoa, they put your car on an elevator? That's so cool. But then we ran around the city and we spent this next 7 hours probably running 15 miles around Manhattan, eating cheesecake and donuts and whatever, bagels, whatever, right? Like just experiencing the city, going by Ground Zero and like Chinatown and across the Brooklyn Bridge, like, and it was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, I got to bring my kids here, right? Like, I got to share this with my wife. And it took a few more years, but finally it was like, okay, we're doing this. And that's what started the whole 50 states tour, right? Was
That's
like,
it. That's fun.
so in 2015, it was like, okay, like we're gonna do this. We're gonna go road trip across the country and we're gonna go see a bunch of states. And so, and then that like really turned into this passion and love of travel. And it was like, okay, booking places and discovering and okay, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna see? What's unique? Like, where are we gonna eat? Like, that was the other thing about traveling for work is you could eat really good food and really cool places and put it on the company's dime, right? Like,
Yeah. Yes.
um, but like that really ignited this like okay the world is a really big place and then having been able to take a couple of international trips and then taking my wife to Europe and then taking our two oldest to Europe and now it's like okay like my youngest she's like dad we've been to all 50 states what's the next goal I think it should be we go visit all the countries
Like, there's only a couple hundred of those. No big deal. Let's do
so
it.
it's like well let's start with 6 continents I don't think we'll get to 7 but maybe we'll see. But we'll start with
I've
6.
checked six. I'm working on that seventh one. I'm
So
trying.
I've yeah, I
But
got
I
2
think
so
this
far.
idea of traveling for work is, I think a lot of people kind of fall in love with travel and adventure because of work. But it's twofold. It can feel really scary, and then you go back to like when we grew up and our parents didn't have cell phones and the
Yeah.
internet, and like I can't imagine getting around Thailand in the 80s or 90s with a family. I mean, the amount of effort and work you'd have to put in up front and the confidence you would have to have. But once you go with work and they take you places that maybe you wouldn't have been before, you're slightly intimidated with, and you get to and you're like, I can do this. This is okay. This is safe. I mean, I think so many times in America too, we're taught that everywhere else is scary. But the most scared I've been traveling, Puerto Rico, I had a gun pulled on me. And in Baltimore, I was threatened pretty aggressively. I've been 50 plus countries. The most scared I've been was in America.
Yeah.
But I think once you get out and you experience it, then you're like, oh, I can do this. I can go to these places, and it's safe. It's beautiful. It's great food. And then as you start looking at things like access to travel and the price, it's not as expensive as people think if you know how to do it or you work with the right person.
No. Well, I have a client where she's like, I want to go to Spain. And so we were talking about it. We were looking at some things, and then she fired an email back to me the other day. She's like, I just don't think we can make it work. Our budget is probably $1,500 to $2,000 for the two of us, and I just like, let's look at somewhere closer to home because I don't think we could make it work. So I was like, well, let me just look at this, right? And so I just fired up and looked. Okay, how much are flights? And I found flights in March to Madrid for $550. Well, you know what? If you go out and you get a certain credit card right now that has 100,000 point bonus, well, you could easily pay for that with their 1.25 cent conversion, right? Like that's 2 round trip tickets to Madrid if you get their bonus, right? And so there your flights are covered. So now you're there. And then I looked up hotels. I was like, okay, let's just look a hotel for a week in Madrid. And I found nice accommodations for like $780 for him for the week. It's like here's an option, right? Like it's not like you're not staying in the Ritz or the Four Seasons, right? But like
But you're
it's a
also in a
decent
state,
spot, right?
you're sleeping and showering in that hotel.
Absolutely.
You're out and about. I mean, you don't have to stay in a hostel, but I think you're right. There are and there are tricks. Like we wanted to go to Greece. Cheap flights to Greece are 1,200, 1,300 bucks. But we got flights to Amsterdam for $400, and then
Hmm.
round trip Amsterdam to Greece for $42.
Yeah, go fly EasyJet. That's the other thing that people don't understand is like, and this is one thing I tell my clients is just get there, right? Like, and that's the thing. Like, we're going to Asia in later this year, and we're like the flights I found were to Malaysia, and it's like okay, Kuala Lumpur looks like the Batu Caves. There's a couple things to go see. I'm not going to spend a week in Kuala Lumpur, right?
That's
I'll
just
spend a
your
day.
touchdown point. Yeah.
Like, yeah, but like to fly from there to Bangkok is like $70 or less, right? Like for each of us, right? And so it's like, okay, I'm there, right? And to Europe, right? As long as you get to Europe, you can fly EasyJet or even Air France or some of these other airlines around Europe, super cheap, or you train. A Euro pass is, I think it's like $50 for a week worth of train.
And they'll take you anywhere you want to go.
Yeah, it's cheap. And the great thing about the Euro pass is I can use like if I get a 7-day Euro pass, one day is 24 hours. I can take as many train trips during that day as I want.
A few,
And
yeah, a few years ago, we did the Christmas markets. We flew to Copenhagen, and it was again $400 or something in December, and then Copenhagen to Munich, a short flight, literally like 20-ish dollars for that flight. And then we did the rail pass, and we went Munich to Salzburg to Vienna to Prague. All four of those places, and yeah, I think you're right. We spent like $125 for the train pass to go to those four places. But it's almost like you have to have someone who's been there, done that, can help coach you on here's how easy it is, here's how affordable it can be. Go try these things, and then it's like you unlock this whole new world, and I mean, my wife and I, we look every single day for things, and we just wait until we find the right one.
Yeah.
We literally look every day.
Well, and that's one thing that I've learned a lot too is, and I try to teach my clients, like, flexibility in travel is key, right? And I get that not everybody has a totally flexible schedule. But if you're trying, like, I've got a daughter that's a varsity cheerleader, and so it limits our travel to school holidays, right? Like the month of July and spring break and fall break, right? Those are not great times to fly because those are almost always the most expensive times to fly. But if you can be really flexible, my wife and I took a trip out to Kauai. It was less than 20,000 sky miles each round trip. Like, it was phenomenal and it was great. Like, it was awesome,
You paid
right? Like,
12 bucks for those flights.
and so, like, yeah, and but that was in February, right? Like, not a lot of people can take a February to go to Hawaii. I loved it. It was snowing here and it was cold, and I was out there on the beach and snorkeling. It was great. But it's learning those tricks, right? And understanding those things. And when you understand how to do those things, then you're able to be flexible, then yeah, travel is completely unlocked, right? The experience of it. Like your experience with going to Greece, right? Like it's like, okay, we can be a little flexible. Oh, we can get to Amsterdam for $400. And if you're flying Delta, it might even be a nonstop flight to Amsterdam. Okay, like let's do that. And then you fly from Amsterdam down to Athens for $42 each, right? That's way better than spending the $1,200 to take you from Salt Lake to Athens, right? Like,
Yeah. And then if
and
you're really
sometimes you look for
smart, you go so
positioning
on
flights like
vacation.
that, right?
The USD goes so far in some of those places. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, getting there is the time consuming part and the expensive part. But once you're
right.
there, yeah.
Yeah, like we've taken positioning flights, whether it's like, okay, this flight's really cheap out of Vegas, or like my wife and I went to Aruba a couple years ago, and it was like, well, Aruba's really hard to fly out of Salt Lake, but actually it's really easy and fairly inexpensive to fly out of JFK. And so when are good flights to JFK? Oh, JFK, these flights are less than $200 round trip. Okay. And then from there to Aruba, oh, we can use points. Okay, great, done. Right? Like looking for those opportunities yeah. It takes a little bit more work, right? But it's something I love to do. And it's consumes most of my days right now, and it's fun and it's exciting and helping individuals and families try to figure out how to make it work. It's awesome. So,
It is, and I think as a family, we stopped years and years ago. We stopped really doing birthday gifts and Christmas gifts. We're looking at what sort of experiences can we create, and those experiences can be close to home. It's not like every birthday you have to take your kid to San Diego or Europe or Asia or whatever. Like, but we want to create experiences and we want to create memories as a family. And I think it's brought my kids closer together. It's brought my wife and I closer together. And the other side of it is, I think it's really important that our kids and ourselves are exposed to these things, and that we gain a sense of empathy and respect and appreciation for how other people live and how they operate in the day to day, how they believe this world should be experienced. That level of exposure to your kids, I think at an early age, is powerful. I really do think it makes them open up and explore themselves throughout the process. So I'm a big believer in it because it is just fun, but I think from a fulfillment point of view and trying to teach your kid point of view, it's really important.
yeah, absolutely. I'd agree. So, where's your favorite place that you've traveled and why?
Next place I'm going, I
So,
don't
where
know.
is the next place you're going?
So I am taking my boys to North Carolina in like 50 days. We're going to go to the Club World Cup. It's the first time FIFA's ever done anything like
Mhm.
this. So we're going to see Real Madrid against Pachuca, which is a top tier team in the Premier League for Mexico. And then we're going to see Bayern Munich against Benfica. And my boys and I are obsessed with soccer. We love it. So yeah, we're headed there for 4 or 5 days, and we're gonna drive down to South Carolina because my boys want to be able to say that they've been to South Carolina. I'm like, it's really not that much different than North Carolina, but let's do it. Let's go.
Where are you guys going? Charlotte? Is the
Yeah,
event in Charlotte?
Yeah,
Okay.
but maybe my favorite place. I mean, it's so hard. Are you basing that off of culture, food?
Hey,
Are the
favorite is up to your own interpretation.
Yeah, yeah. It's I don't know that I could pick a favorite, but I think if you want to go see beautiful country, mountains, Laotribune in Switzerland might be the most beautiful place I've ever been. It feels like you leave planet Earth and you're on heaven. It's absolutely remarkable, and the size. I felt really small there.
Yeah.
And in fact, while I was there, everything's like, look how grand these waterfalls are, these mountain peaks. But somehow I ended up becoming obsessed with my time in La Tribune and on the little things, the little teeny details, the tiny flower that was blooming. I don't know, but somehow this grand moment made me focus in on the teeny tiny things. So La Tribune was really beautiful and a cool experience to kind of play with that juxtaposition of big and small. I think from a cultural point of view, Mumbai it's an overload of every sense. It is maybe a weird word to use, but we pulled up and we're staying in this super fancy high-rise hotel, and I open up my window, and as far as I can see, it is slums. It's like
Mm.
they built this huge hotel in the middle of the slums, or right on the edge of the slums, and it's there, and you even from the hotel room you can smell Mumbai and hear the noises of the city. It's chaos. And as you're looking over these slums, I was feeling almost guilty, you know?
Yeah.
And like I felt sad for the people who are living in those conditions, and no one should live in those conditions. But then when I left the hotel and we were interacting with people, and the group that I was with, the distributor was introducing us to people and taking us around, and everyone was so gracious and thankful for what they had and where they were, and it didn't feel like pity. And it's so easy to kind of be here and compare to my neighbors who just put a pool in their backyard, or my friend who's going to Malaysia after just getting back from Hawaii, and you're comparing against these things, and you're in this mode of like overconsumption. And yet in India and my experience there, they were just in the moment and grateful and beautiful, kind people. It really was an eye-opening moment for me. And
Yeah.
it made me come back and take stock in how I'm spending not just money, but time and my thoughts. And it even helped me reset goals. So those are two very different places, but Lao Tribune in Switzerland and Mumbai, India, I think are places everyone should go.
And I think with both of those experiences, one thing to pull out of there that I see, right, is this juxtaposition or this contrast, right? And I think sometimes when we start to see stark contrasts, we really start to live a little differently, right? Like we start to live more in the gain, more in the experience of abundance, and how great things are, right? Like Lao Tribune, right? The more you saw the grandeur, the easier it was to kind of notice the simplicity or the smallness, right? In Mumbai, the grandeur of the hotel in contrast to the humility, that just the meekness of the people and their living conditions, right? And just seeing, okay, like, why do I care so much about stuff at this point, right? Like, it's like life is so much more than just collecting things and trying to have as much as the neighbor or whatever, right? And so, yeah, powerful experiences. So,
Yeah, powerful experience. That's the right word for it. It's powerful.
yeah.
And it's not fleeting. You go, you buy a fancy meal, it's great in the moment, and then the next morning you're saying goodbye. Um, these oftentimes the things that we consume, it's a small dopamine hit that doesn't have longevity, that doesn't have substance. And maybe that's one of the other reasons I like to explore the world and meet new people, is I feel like that dopamine hit has a really long shelf life, and it hits different. It's less about a boost and it's more about building up the foundation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think about when I'm raising my children, right? Like a birthday comes around or whatever, right? Like if I were to ask them what they got for their last birthday, right? The one at least a year ago. What did you get, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many of them could tell me anything, let alone one thing, right? Like I don't know how much they could tell me, right? Like, what they got. I don't know if they remember, right? Like because they got gifts, but did they actually receive them? And I think that's one of the great things about travel, at least the way you're expressing it and how I experience it, is that I'm receiving these powerful experiences, right? Like I and it's just it's fantastic to see meet new people, to see new experiences. For me, food is less fleeting. I remember it, I savor it still, right? Like I can think of some really good meals that I've had traveling, and it's like, okay, like, and that helps accentuate the experience. And I think it's part of the reason why food is and meals is such a predominant part of a lot of cultures around the world. And I think that here in America, we make it less important. And I think we should make it more important, right? Like for us, it's about calories in, calories out, as one of my friends would always say. Whereas, like, you go to Europe, you go to Central or South America, and food is life. Like, they do India, right? Like, everything they do is around food, around spice, flavor, but it's bringing people together. It's connection. It's the way that they serve each other. It's the things that they can do for each other, right? Like,
Even the pace of food is
absolutely. No, it's like we thrive on fast food, right? Like it is literally we even we couldn't we had to develop a new chain of restaurant called fast casual because fast food wasn't enough. We needed to upgrade the food quality a little bit and call it fast casual.
yeah, it's literally about shoving our faces. Where I think in most of the world, it's about, to your point, bringing people together. It's about conversation. It's about experiences.
It's hours to prepare and they take time to enjoy and savor not just the food, but the experience of eating the food with family and friends and community.
Yeah. It's so weird when you first start traveling overseas and you can't get the server to bring you the check, right? Because they're just like, well, it's not just about eating; it's about sitting and having
Yeah.
conversation and being together. Or one of the things that like it just for some reason it rocked my kids. We're in Paris and all these cafes, and they're like, Dad, why are all the people sitting facing the street? Like they're it's a round table and no one's on the other end of the table. They're sitting like shoulder to shoulder instead of across the table. And I'm like, because they're sitting together, just watching, talking, conversing. It's more of a place to interact than it is to consume.
Yeah.
And I think we are, I'm shifting a bit here, but I've been going through this process of trying to disconnect from my phone and this always on mentality and just be focused on this conversation here. And I've taken all notifications off my phone. I don't get pinged. My phone is permanently on do not disturb. It means I only look and see that someone has messaged me when I'm ready to look. I get home and I put my phone in my bedroom and then I close the door and I come out and I'm with my wife and kids. And it's funny because I think so many people praise that and they talk about disconnecting and being in the present and being in the moment. And yet the amount of frustration that is communicated back to me because I'm not replying within 2 minutes of a text message or even 2 hours or sometimes 2 days. It's like I used to let that get to me and now I'm just like, no, this is fine. If they want to be upset, they can be upset. But I'm going to look and communicate back when it works for me. And likewise, I now have walked away from any expectation that someone needs to reply to me in any given moment. Like, they'll get to me when they get to me. And if it goes a while and I need something, hey, I'll reach back out. But I'm not upset about it. And I'm not
Yeah.
make anybody feel guilty about it. But I want to, just because we can be notified doesn't mean we should.
For sure. Yeah.
When you travel and you disconnect and you have an out of office reply on your inbox, you it almost like gives you an excuse to do that. But it's easy to fall back into the habit of I'm available 24/7 just because I can be. Doesn't mean we should be.
Yeah, one of the lessons that I learned from Tim Ferriss years ago was the importance of time blocking email, right? And he would always put an autoresponder on or have it in his signature, right? That I check and respond to email during this period of time, right? I don't even do that. Like, but I've heard a lot of people talk about it, right? Like, if you're as soon as you open your email, you're opening other people's problem.
And priority.
And yeah, and now you've become beholden to their priorities versus your own, right? The other thing, and I've mentioned this on this podcast several times, but is I never, well, at least I try never to check email before 10 a.m. Like if I'm waiting for something or something, like I'm waiting for a partner to get back to me to help a client or whatever, right? Like I might check it a little earlier, but typically I try to stay out of my email because once you get into it, you get sucked in and you get stuck, right? I think it's LinkedIn. Every time I'm in there and I do a post, it's like, hey, you should turn on notifications so you can see when somebody comments. I'm like, no, thanks. I don't need to. I can check it when I'm ready to check it.
Yeah.
Maybe the algorithm doesn't like that as much, but I'm going to check it when I want to check it. But I like the idea of turning off all other notifications, right? Like there's way too many notifications that I have just by default on my phone, right? Like,
I've
and
changed my home screen. It doesn't even allow notifications. Like, it just doesn't. It's so nice.
oh, that is nice.
And I'm telling you,
Yeah.
at first, you're like on your phone and you're checking all the time. But you give it a couple of days and you realize the world isn't going to collapse if I don't respond to my best friend's text message or a reply from a client. And I'm not letting clients sit around. We have process in place. We take care of them. We make sure that their needs are recognized and addressed quickly. But we don't need to be always on. And that pressure, it eats at my state of mind, my state of well-being, and it pulls you away from the things that matter.
Well, and I think even if you feel like you can't go cold turkey and turn off all notifications, turn on timed notifications, right? Like Apple now has like you can have a timed summary, right? So it'll just notify you at certain times of the day. So you can say, okay, I don't want notifications to pop up until after 10:30 in the morning, right? Set a timed notification for then and put everything into that, right? If you're like, I can't go cold turkey, right? Like, and then you'll start to learn. Like, I have time notifications on for several of my apps. Most of the time, I look at my time notification. I'm like, none of this is relevant, and I just clear it all out. And you start to learn that okay, like it really isn't relevant. Like, I don't have notifications on for any social media platforms because I don't need to see those notifications, right? It's just it's not important. It's not time sensitive for me, right? So
Yeah, you got to pick and choose what works for you.
yeah.
I shared the other day that if you call my phone, I'm not gonna answer. One, it's not even gonna ring, so I don't even know that you're gonna call. But two, if you hit my voicemail, it says like, "Don't leave me a voicemail. I won't listen." I have thousands of unread and unlistened to voicemails. Zero intention of ever listening. But I had somebody message me and like just they they thought they were shredding me. You know? It's so unprofessional. You need to be available. If I'm going to leave a voicemail, you need to freaking listen. And my reply back to them was like, "Are you on Marco Polo? Are you on WhatsApp? Are you on Slack, LinkedIn, X, Instagram, Facebook, email? Or how many platforms of communication are you? Skype? I mean, well, no." I'm like, so you pick and choose which platforms work for you, and I'm gonna do the same, and that's fine. We don't need to be everywhere. We don't need to be always on. We don't need to make it so people have instant access to us, and that's not being uh,
Belligerent.
said maliciously.
Yeah.
That's not saying that you don't matter to me. That's not saying that you're not important to me or that I care about you or what you need. But it means that you got to put your own oxygen mask before you put someone else's on. And pick the time and the place that works for you. And if that doesn't work for someone else, that's okay. There doesn't need to be any negativity towards it. It's okay. But I think we need to give ourselves that grace because it's a compounding problem that's never going to go away. So you have to
Absolutely. No, it's like like you take this moment, right? This moment in time, this hour that we're taking to record this podcast. And okay, for an hour, like I've put my phone, which then turns my iPad, my computer, everything into do not disturb, right? I'm not going to get any notifications during this time because my time here is committed to you, Nick. It's committed to those that are listening, right? Making sure that this experience is as beneficial as it can be, right? And then as I can make it. If I'm constantly being bombarded with texts or phone calls, like really I didn't turn on do not disturb when we started this. And so I got a phone call and I'm like, are you kidding me? Ignore, right? Turn on do not disturb, right? Because I don't need, like, it breaks my concentration when my watch is vibrating or my phone is alerting me of something, right? Like, or a text message comes across the screen of the video that I'm on, right? Like, okay, well, if I can do that for this hour, then can I do that for my 30-minute meditation? Can I do that for my creative time in the morning or in the afternoon or whenever that time is, right? Can I do that for the time that I want to be present with my children, with my wife, right? Like, if those things really are my priority, and this goes back to the word priori, right? Like meaning singular one, right? Like you can't balance multiple priorities. The word priority was never meant to be plural.
Yeah.
Like if you go back to the Latin, it is singular, right? And so, okay, where is my attention? I'm human. I only have the ability to have attention in one spot. And so where is that attention? And if that attention is always being pulled by alerts and notifications and what's happening on Instagram, right? Like whatever, then it's not where I want it to be. And so we need to at least take control of it and say, okay, this is what I want, right? And that's what you're talking about. That's what you've done, is you've taken control of it and said, okay, this is where I want my attention to be.
Dude, I
And
have gone as far as, like, I went to lunch with a friend yesterday and I had a hard stop. And as we were walking, I was like, hey man, I need you to know I have to go at this time. I'm setting my alarm on my phone. My phone's going face down on the table. When that thing rings, we gotta go. Just setting that expectation with him. I never looked at my phone. I didn't worry about what else was going on. He and I just like caught up. Been friends for 10 years. It was like we just had a conversation, two of us, whatever. As soon as my phone, bing, the alarm went off, he was like, oh, dude, let's get up and walk back to the office. I know you got to go. It was easy. It was simple. I didn't have to worry about, because a lot of times I would find like no notifications, but then I'd be looking at the time like, oh, it's 11:38. I've got to go at noon. But as soon as you put your phone in your hand and you start looking at it, it's easy to get distracted. It's easy to
yep.
fall into those things. I'm really making an effort to be non-dependent on my phone. In fact, you talked about if turning notifications off is scary, time them, put delays on when they come or bulk get them. If you think turning your notifications on your phone is scary, try leaving your house without it on purpose. Dude, such a hard thing to do, but I'm getting to a point, my wife will take her phone. That way if the kids need us, they can get a hold of us. But like when my wife and I go out now, about every other time, I'm like, I'm gonna try to leave my phone at home. I'm just gonna go be with my wife. It's wild how different that date night with my wife is. Wild.
Love it. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, no, it's good, right? Like, and
You
I
feel
think, like,
naked at
I'm
first.
sure, yeah, no, it's,
Where is it? For a long time, I would have said I'd rather lose my wallet than my phone. Losing my phone would be more of an inconvenience than my wallet.
yeah, well, I can use my phone to
To buy,
deactivate everything in my wallet.
yeah, my car key for crying out loud. I mean, so there's some challenges in that, but yeah, I'm really trying to go back to the days when I'm prioritizing what's in front of me, not what's on my screen.
Yeah. Well, I think it's so interesting too. Like how many times have we picked up our phone to look at something intentionally, right? Like we know what we want to look at, but then we end up opening three other apps and it's like, crap, what was I doing? Like why did I pick up my phone, right? Like, oh yeah, that's why. Okay, now I need to do that. And then you're 15 minutes later, you've lost this 15 minutes, right? And it's like, what was I doing? Like going and liking somebody's post on Facebook and scrolling through dumb reels on Instagram. Like, what did I just spend that 15 minutes doing, right? Like, So it's amazing how like they are great tools, but they are also designed to intentionally distract us and consume our time. So fascinating. So as a leader, as a business owner, how do you manage that and like let your people live the same principle if they choose to?
I encourage my team to, I try to empower my team and give them the respect to say, you're an adult, get it done, and then please go unplug. But I'm very intentional with things like, as a business owner, I do find myself working a lot. Like, that's not to say that I leave at 5, I unplug my phone, I unplug my computer, and I never do work. As a business owner, it's really hard to turn that stuff off. But I've done things. One, to support my team. One, I will not Slack or text them outside of office hours. I won't. If I email, I schedule the email to send during work hours. If it's 10 o'clock at night, I used to do like, hey, don't read this till the morning. It's already too late at that point. So I just write
Yeah.
it. And I'll write the email like, hey, good morning. And then I just schedule to send for tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I've also done an out of office or a signature that includes a disclaimer right above it that's like balancing personal and professional life is different and unique for everyone. I'm replying at a time that works for me. Please do the same and reply at a time that works for you. So from a communication standpoint, I try to be very guarded with how I'm communicating to, that's why they're paying us. But that's one thing. The other thing that we do is, yes, we have an office, and I've invested a lot of time and money and effort into this office. I've had really great friends like you even help me move. It was not easy. That was a wild. But my team also knows if they have a doctor's appointment, a therapy appointment, they wake up and they've got to, you don't have to ask, you just tell us. Just like be respectful and be like, hey, I'm unplugging, and I don't even need to know the reason. Like, and I try really hard to tell them, like, you don't have to tell me that it's a doctor appointment. It could be that you want to go see a movie. Just be like, hey, I'm out from 2 to 4 today. Okay, cool. No questions asked. We also do every other Friday off. We alternate our team. We split the company in half, so clients always have someone available on a Friday, but every other Friday they're off, and the Friday they're on, they work from home. So I've tried to create culture that is supportive of that. We don't do unlimited PTO, but we also don't do um, blocked PTO. We do a minimum PTO. You have to take 2 weeks, and then you can take anything else on top of that. But you have to take 2 weeks. So we try really hard to create a culture and policy and process that makes people feel very comfortable in taking care of their own well-being, their personal needs and priorities. And as long as they're getting the job done, I could care less. It's about output, not about input.
I love that. I love the concept around results, right? Like it's about results. It's about what we're getting, right? Like because I think like too often I've been in too many cultures, company cultures where it's about just I want to see your butt in the seat. That's all that matters to me. And if your butt's not in the seat, I don't care about the results. I just care to see that you're here. I want to have power over you.
Yeah.
And that's not healthy culture, right? You write a lot on LinkedIn about company culture and kind of some of the things that you do within your company culture, right? Like one of the things I love when you share certain messages that you get. You've also fired clients because over your voicemail, right? Like that's one story that you shared, right? A client came back at you, right? Like, hey, I'm gonna leave you a voicemail, or I need you available at this time, or whatever, right? And you're like, no, so there's and it's like and I think a lot of times we look at like, okay, like I have to be beholden to this. And because this is the client, they're the one paying the dollars, right? Like, what if I lose that revenue? Like that's gonna really hurt. Well, okay, it might hurt, but do you really want to like continually give? Because like and at
Not
what
all
point
revenue is
does
good.
that not become worth it, right?
Not all revenue is good revenue. Certainly
Right.
learned that lesson. It's hard though. It's hard when you're a small business owner, especially at the beginning. You're like, yeah, dude, I'll take it. I'll deal with it. I'll manage it. But at
Yeah.
some point, we've been lucky and blessed that we've gotten to a point where we don't need that revenue. We'd like it, but it doesn't. Not all revenue is good revenue. And you got to know when to
Yeah.
stop. So we actually go into discovery calls and proposals, and we're very open that we're also interviewing them. Very open. I take that approach with hiring new people. In fact, unless it's like a senior leader at the team, I'm not interviewing someone for their skills or their experience or their background. I bring them into my office. I want to interview everyone, but I bring them into my office, walk away from my desk, we sit down on the couches, and I tell them I believe that interviews are a two-way street. My team has vetted you. They've talked about experience, skill sets, capabilities, the role, yada, yada, yada. They really like you. At this point, I want you to be able to interview us to see if you'd really like the Grounded Company or Adapted or Fusion. And if you have the guts to ask, I promise I'll give you a transparent answer. But this is your interview. Ask me anything you want. And the conversation is so good and they're fun. I have people who are asking about like burn rate and the P&L, and I have people talking about clients or culture and flexibility. I have people talking about just like that we have dogs in the office, right? Like we talk about whatever matters to them, and the conversation is just getting to know them, making them feel welcome, and helping them know. And we want them to like us, and if they don't, it's okay. They don't have to.
Yeah.
We actually extended an offer to someone about a year ago, and she came back and she was like, your company's awesome, the work is great, the comp is competitive, like I like so much about this, but I want a slightly different culture. I really think I want A, B, and C, and she listed these things off. She was like, Nick, are those a part of the culture? And I'm like, honestly, they're not. Well, I've been a referral for her and tried to help her land a job somewhere else in a culture that works for her.
Yeah.
And at first, I think she was a little trepidatious. She was a little nervous coming to me with this. And I was so grateful because I don't want her to say yes and then have it be miserable. And that's not good for her. That's not good for us. That's not good for our clients. So I think you have to take that approach and you have to be really thoughtful around who you work with, both your clients, your partners, and your employees.
Well, and I think as a leader setting that.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, as a leader, setting that expectation is powerful, right? And it's powerful to your employees. It's powerful to prospective employees. Because then, okay, now I know whether I want to take this job or not, right? Like, and I think and you approach it with more of an abundance mentality than a scarcity mentality, right? So one of the things that you pointed out that you do that I really like is when you're sending emails, like as a business owner, right? Like, okay, my day's been hectic, I've been slammed, maybe I'm in client meetings, whatever, right? Okay, now I get to be present with my kids, present with my wife. Now it's 10 o'clock. I've got to just get through some responses to the team, right? Well, I love the idea of scheduling those for the next day because the challenge that we have being always connected, always on, right? Is that as soon as my boss emails me, whether he says don't respond or not, don't check this or not, the first thing I'm going to feel obligated, I feel this pressure that, okay, I need to check it and I need to respond right now, right? And that just puts pressure on your team that outside of work, they have to be beholden to you. And so changing that little thing, right? It seems small, but that's a big deal because it's saying, okay, you know what? I value and respect your time as a human outside of this office. You're more important to me than the work that needs to be done. So I want you to live your life and experience your life, right?
Yep.
Because too often, like we get in these corporate environments where it's like we always, right from the first day we start a job, we feel pressure to please the boss, right? Like I want to win him over. I want to make sure that I'm in his good graces, her good graces, right? Like I want her to know that I'm reliable, that I'm going to come through. And as soon as they push those limits on me as an employee and start sending me emails after 5, start texting me outside of work, right? Maybe giving me a call. Oh, I gotta answer it. I gotta respond. Like, they're not gonna think that I'm a good employee if I don't, right?
Yep.
And then it just becomes a slippery slope. And then it's like now I'm gritting my teeth every time I see that email or that call because it's like, oh, I just want to be with my family. I don't want to respond. Like, what do you think? Like, I'm not a 24-hour employee. And then you lose the vibe and like there's just this disconnect and you don't trust your leader and then your leader is like, okay, like yeah, just it's a slippery slope, right? So I love that little change because I think it makes a huge difference in the company culture and the way that your employees feel.
Yeah, it's a simple phrase, but I think it's pretty powerful. Do your best today, never settle, and don't forget there's always tomorrow. Like
Yeah.
there's always tomorrow. If I don't get to something today, end of the
And
world.
those are easy words to live. Those are easy words to say. They're a little harder to live by, right?
And not everything is
But
that. You know, you've got a hard deadline on something that can't be missed. Okay, but if you're in the moment, you're present, you're thoughtful, hopefully that means that you can get ahead of those things and you can do it without the last minute crunch.
yeah, cool. Well, Nick, thank you. I just want to ask you two more questions here as we conclude. What book are you reading right now?
I don't read books.
Audiobooks? Nothing?
No, dude,
Okay.
that's a lie.
Okay, we do have a book.
Book is incredible. It's a cookbook.
Okay. All right.
It's so fun, and I just love Matty Matheson. The man knows who he is. He is unabashedly himself, and he's kind and welcome to everyone else. But he just is. He's great. He's awesome. Love that guy.
Okay. Then my next question doesn't is irrelevant. So
No,
it's
please come on.
what book have you read in the last 12 to 18 months that you would highly recommend to others? So
Cat in the Hat.
got that.
I don't know. Like it's a 2 minute story. I don't know if you have time for that. But I genuinely love that book. But more so than anything, I love the story behind it. Dr. Seuss tried to write children's books for like 30 years. Failed. Couldn't get anything published. Couldn't get anything published. A group of like children's literature thought leaders came to him and said, "Hey man, we want you to write a book first and second graders can't put down." My word's not his, but he was basically like, "Pound sand, I've tried for 30 years, I don't know how to do this." And they said, "Well, there's a list of 348 approved first grade vocabulary words. Take a look at this list. We would want you to write the book and only use those 348 words." He started scanning, and cat and hat rhyme, and boom, there you go. The book is actually only got like 222 or something unique words in it, all of which pulled from that list. It's just such a good reminder to me that restriction creates creativity or demands creativity.
Yeah.
So if you can find ways to create constraints and restriction, and then you learn how to be dynamic and flexible inside those restrictions, that's when you can produce something truly great. I'd even give that up to like athletes. They all
So
play
I
the same set of rules, some of which are better than others, and it's because they know when to break the rules, how to break them, how to do something different that's surprising the other team, yada, yada, yada. But
yeah.
Cat Hat is a book I read frequently just as a reminder to restriction demands creativity.
I love it. Okay. Glad I didn't skip that question. That was great.
Yeah.
I loved the concept of simplicity, right? Because essentially that's like constraining to create simplicity. I was listening to a podcast the other day where talked about Apple and they were trying to figure out the burning DVD app, right? And so they're trying to build this app and Steve Jobs walks into the room and he's like, "Okay, what do you guys got? What are you doing?" And they go over all these features and whatever. And he walks up to the board and he draws a square. Then he draws a little circle and writes burn. He says, "Okay, here's what you're going to do. You're going to drag the video into here and you're going to press burn." That's it. To make that. And that was iDVD, right? Like, and it was that simple, right? Like, it was just like, stop trying to add the bells and whistles, stop overcomplicating it. Like, let's just make this simple. And it's what Tesla's done, it's what Apple's done, it's what, like, we look at these great companies and it's about simplification, right? And when we look at some of the purest, greatest logos, right? They are some of the greatest designs are the simplest designs, right? Like it's just simple lines. It's simple, yeah, simple feel. It's not over complex. Awesome. Thank you, Nick. Where can people keep up with you?
Go ahead and like just call me, leave me voicemails. I'll be real good at getting back. Text message me. You'll get a reply within a few weeks.
Publish your number here in the show notes for everybody.
Yeah, yeah. LinkedIn's easy. Like that.
Yep.
That's probably the easiest place.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thanks for your time, Nick. I appreciate it. Again, everybody, thanks for joining us on A Bit of Curiosity. So please like, share, subscribe, all that stuff, whatever. So thanks so much.